Hey there, welcome to day 1134 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar world of and corporate world of business to the online world. Now, it's interesting, people online and some of my online friends say that there is no difference between business online and offline. I have been well entrenched in both worlds, and I'm going to argue and say there absolutely positively is difference. There's a big difference between the two, and the emphasis that you place on different aspects of business and real business. Online world tends to be heavily automated systems and marketing driven and sales driven. Offline world, those things are important, but it tends to be more physical and actual real. I guess it irritates my friends, but I come from the manufacturing world. So to me, it's all about creating and making real physical products and things. Services are real, of course, but that's a whole kind of different ballgame that treads on both worlds and actually thrives in both worlds. I contend and have for a long time that everyone should have, and I know they say don't ever say everyone, but everybody should have an online presence, whether it's your personal presence, your personal brand, if you're a service provider, or your business itself. Every business needs to be searchable nowadays, especially with mobile technology. And since the internet, it wasn't quickly adopted, right? Because the internet was originally for nerds like me, scientists and engineers and statisticians and people that needed to look at and analyze a lot of data. And I remember the early days of the internet, people thinking, oh, is this going to stick around, or is it going to be for businesses and people, or is it just going to be a tool for the academic world, or the scientists and the engineers of the world, and the high-level business communications and data analysis type things. And of course, we know now that with everybody carrying around a cell phone, which is literally a much more powerful computer than anything I used or experienced in college. There's more computing technology available in our handheld cell phones than there was in entire stadium-sized rooms filled with computer processing technology back in the beginning days of computing and the internet and personal computing and things. And I actually have been around. I was a kid for the beginning of it, but I experienced it in college, learned how to program on punch cards. Right? Remember, I don't even know that anybody else I know remembers learning how to program computers and write computer programs in different languages, and then using punch cards that we put in the computer. That's really old school. Luckily, that was changing quickly as I was going to college, but nothing like is available today. I remember learning the very first versions of software when software was becoming available in my corporate career, early in my corporate career. And it's fun to look back and think about all of the things that have changed and all the blessings that we have now based on technology. I mean, can you imagine? I cannot even imagine going through this COVID pandemic in the 70s or the 80s or even the 90s, right? Even the early 2000s, it would have been such a different experience for all of us. And as bad as it is for many people, it's much better than it would have been had it happened, 40, 50 years ago. We would have been struggling so much more. And we would have been so much more negatively impacted because we've got the connectivity of technology. A lot of people have the ability to hop online and interact with other people, even if we're socially distanced. So today I'm thinking about failure. And I contend, and will always contend, that failure is optional, just like I believe sacrifice is optional. One of the things that kind of tweaks me every time I hear it online is you'll see all these memes and posts about, oh, you have to sacrifice and hustle and do all these things to be successful, to be a business owner, to be an online successful marketer, or to be successful in any area or aspect of our life. And I think that's one of the biggest lies that we tell one another, that people tell us, and that we tell ourselves, is that we have to have massive pain and struggle and sacrifice in order to create what it is that we want in our life. And I say, nonsense. If we are choosing and moving toward what we want in our life, we are making a decision and a choice among infinite alternatives and possibilities, because all of us face that all the time. There's so many different choices and possibilities we can face. Me saying no to one thing isn't me missing out on that one thing. I know there's a lot of, and we did it in corporate America. We did a lot of opportunity cost studies and things. Well, what is the opportunity cost? What's the lost opportunity if we don't do this thing? And if we do this thing? And a lot of it, it's just made up to give us a better sense of decision making, like we've discovered more, or we've studied more, or we've researched more before we make a choice or decide. And that's important in some situations, but a lot of times it's just giving us excuses to not do certain things and to not move in the direction we want to move because we think we're missing out on something, or we think that we're going to fail, or that we're going to struggle, or it's going to be hard. Guess what? Just living your life can be hard if you decide it's going to be hard. It can also be the same exact life, same exact experiences that you think are freaking awesome because you're excited about them. You know, each of us will face different situations and challenges throughout our life and experiences, and we'll face the exact same thing, very similar situation, but we'll have entirely different experiences than someone else, even then someone else that we were raised and socialized very similarly to do. I have 3 sisters. There's 4 of us girls in my family, and we're about a year apart. My youngest sister is 4 years younger than me, but the 3 of us were a year apart. Bang, bang, bang. And then a couple of years, and then my youngest sister was born. But for the most part, the 3 of us had, even though we had similar experiences, similar backgrounds, similar upbringings, we are all 3 very, very different people. Or 4 of us, we're all very different people. I mean, when you look at all 4 of us, we're very different. Even though a lot of what we experienced was similar, each and every one of us still had different experiences within that experience because we're all different people and we all see things differently. But as we look at those experiences, we get to decide whether it's a failure or a success, or if it's just something that we learn from. I contend that as long as we don't quit and give up on living our life and creating the things that we want, failure is optional. Failure is just a stepping stone in what it is that we want to achieve. So to me, I'd be curious, what are some things that people believe and say all the time that you think are just absolute nonsense? There are so many things like that to me. You know, life isn't fair. My dad taught my sisters and I when we were young, life isn't fair. If you're expecting life to be fair, just like you're expecting nothing to ever change in your life, or you live your life, you go to school, you get a certain level of success, and that's just going to stay the same forever, you're going to be disappointed because life is always going to change. Things are always going to change. If COVID has taught us nothing else, it's definitely taught us that you can't anticipate what's going to happen and how it's going to impact you externally. You just have to learn how you're going to respond and decide how you're going to respond to it. And that things are going to change. Change is guaranteed. Change and death are 2 things that are absolutely positively guaranteed. The saying goes death and taxes, but I don't think taxes are guaranteed. They're changing all the time, right? Pretty much expect that you're going to have to pay them to support systems and governments and things wherever you live, but they're not necessarily inevitable, right? If you don't make any money, you don't pay any taxes. So there's always a way out, right? There's always a solution to anything if that's your big objective or your big challenge or your big worry. So what are some things that people believe that you don't agree with? Share those in the comments below. I would love to know that I'm not the only one that has contrary thoughts about certain things that people believe. Like life has to be fair. Number one, how do you define fair? How do you make it fair for everybody? You can't. You absolutely positively cannot make it fair for everyone. And I don't usually believe in the word can't. I believe that there's no such thing as can't. Another great lesson I learned from my dad, hey, there's no such thing as can't. If you want something bad enough, you will figure out a way to make it happen in your life. You absolutely positively will. Now, that doesn't mean you won't decide that you don't want something and you change your mind. We do that all the time. I think back to when I was younger, there were a lot of things that I thought I wanted in my life. And as I lived and got more experience and more information and knowledge about something, I absolutely positively decided I don't want to do that at all. I thought I wanted to be a journalist. Then I thought I wanted to be a doctor. Then I thought I wanted to be an artist. Then I thought I wanted to be all these different things. And once I explored that path a little bit, I realized, yeah, this is interesting, but it isn't my big thing, my big what I want to do with my life. It's not how I want to show up on a regular basis. So we change our mind all the time. Changing our mind is not a failure. It's a choice. Choices are not failures. Mistakes are not failures. They're just, again, lessons learned learning opportunities, stepping stones to move us toward deciding what it is that we really want, what our preferences are. So I've been thinking about failure today. I think maybe because our 365-day challenge to do one thing every day that centers you, our lesson today was our attitude determines our altitude. And I absolutely positively believe that. Your attitude, your beliefs, your feelings about your life will determine whether you're successful or not, and happy or not, much more than anything else. It'll determine what you're willing to go after, what you're willing to do, what you're willing to try. Is determined by your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, and, mostly your beliefs in yourself. I'm losing my microphone, my headphones today. Put them in. I've got to find my wireless phone microphone, but I don't know what I did with it. When I moved, I lost it. So it's been like missing for a year. I'll find it eventually. It'll just pop up. It's probably in my storage unit, and I haven't been there for months, so that's probably why I can't find it. But I will find it. I always find things, even if I lose them. I'm very good at finding things. It's kind of funny. So failure is optional. I think failure is optional. I think sacrifice. I think struggle is optional. Does that mean I haven't struggled in my life? Oh, no, I've absolutely positively struggled. I just know that when I'm struggling, I am choosing to struggle. It's not like everybody has to struggle to get things. And struggle, just like failure and success, it's a choice. I can decide if I'm going to struggle at something or if I'm going to embrace it and I'm going to figure out how to make it my own and how I can make it easy and how I can learn it and how I can master it so that it doesn't feel like a struggle. A lot of times when we learn something new, it feels like a struggle, right? It feels like it's hard. Guess what? New things are hard until we figure them out and we learn them, and then they become easy and automatic. So many of those things in my life that I used to think were a struggle, and I'm like, you know what? I actually kind of like this. It's not really a struggle at all. Think laundry. I used to think laundry was the biggest struggle on the planet because I had kids and we had pets and we had active family, and it seemed like there was always just this ton of laundry to be doing. And I realized that if I embraced that little struggle and said, okay, well, this is right now a struggle. How am I going to figure it out to make it not a struggle and make it actually easy? And I actually got to the point where I like doing laundry. Weird, right? But I don't mind doing it. I don't believe in dry cleaning or ironing, but I don't mind washing and having clean clothes available. So funny, right? What is something that you feel you have contrary beliefs about? Share that in the comments below. I'm in a contrary mood today. So let's talk about things that we believe that we don't think other people believe. I believe a lot of things I don't think other people believe, and I'm cool with that because that's what makes me unique and different from everybody else. And guess what? You're unique and different from everybody else too. Our Supersize Your Business Challenge today was, if at first you don't succeed, try again. One of my favorites, and I actually shared 9 habits of what you do if you feel like you're failing over and over and over again. How do you get out of that? Because we go through periods in our life, right, where things are smoothly rolling around and everything's going great. We're moving in the direction we want to go. And then there's other times in our life when we just have a lot of stuff going on. People have a lot of stuff going on with COVID right now. I feel like because of the challenges I've had earlier in my life, I'd set myself up that COVID has not really negatively impacted me personally much at all. But I know a lot of people that's had huge impact and as they would say, negative impact on them. And it's a matter of taking that situation and saying, all right, this is what the situation is. What am I going to do with it to put my life back on course and get going in the direction I want to go? And it probably looks different than before COVID, right? It looks different for millions of people. What millions of people were doing before COVID is going to be different than what they're doing now and into the future, because politically COVID's going to go on for a while. Do I agree with that? No. I will say clearly and emphatically, I think that we're being manipulated and that we can decide, I'm done being manipulated. Now, it doesn't mean we do anti-things. It just means we live our lives. And if it means we put on a mask when we're interacting with other people, we put on a mask when we're interacting with other people. And we don't piss and moan about it. We don't worry about it. We don't get all upset about it. We just do what we need to do to make other people and ourselves feel okay in the different situations that we want to find ourselves in to move forward. We do things with our businesses and with our lives to keep those we love and care about safe, to keep our customers safe, to keep moving forward in the direction we want to go. COVID's been a huge hit to a lot of people, but it doesn't mean we have to fail and throw in the towel. It just means we have to think differently. We have to get different perspectives on the situation and then choose among those alternatives. What's next? What are we going to do? Will the first thing we try work? Probably not. We'll probably have to tweak it and test it, just like every other thing that we do, right? I can't think of very many things that I have hit the ground running. I just decided I was going to do something and knew, and I tried it the first time and it went swimmingly. I can't think of a single thing in my life that's happened for. I've always had to tweak and test and do something different, try something different. I mean, something as simple as walking in the park. I've sprained my ankle walking in the park, pretty much on flat level ground. No extenuating circumstances, just twisted my ankle and fell down. That, some people would consider that a failure and never walk in the park again. Other people would say, okay, I sprained my ankle, I'm going to heal my ankle, I'm going to get back up, and I'm going back out to that park because that park's not going to beat me. So that's what I'm thinking about today. Go out, have an amazing day. If I can help you in any way, hit me up in the comments below or direct message me. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow to let you know what am I doing. And I don't know if I did a good job on letting you know what I'm doing in my business right now, but I wanted to share my thoughts about failure being optional, because I think a lot of people believe that success and failure is outside of their control, and it's an absolute lie. It's absolutely 100% within you, and you get to decide if your life is going to be a success or a failure. You get to define success. You get to define failure. You get to define everything. Did you know you have that power? It's pretty cool when you actually have that aha realization that, oh, I get to say what beautiful is to me. I get to say what important is to me. I get to say what BS is to me. And it doesn't matter what anybody else on the planet thinks about it. It only matters how it impacts you and what you're going to do with that information. All right, catch you tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Bye.